A bias tape maker is a little gadget designed to take bias strips, fabric cut on a 45-degree angle relative to the grain line of your fabric, and these bias strips, and turn them into bias tape, either single fold or double fold bias tape. So if this is my bias strip cut from my fabric at a 45-degree angle to my grain line, and I want my two edges folded in toward the center to make bias tape, or fold it again to make double fold bias tape, I could do that by hand, or much more easily I could use a bias tape maker. You'll notice that it's got a little U shape at the back side, and then it's got a narrow tip. There's a vent at the top, that's to let the steam come out, and there's a little handle for you to guide it as you work. So I'm going to slip my fabric cut into the back end here, my cut fabric. These two come in sizes. The size of your strip is relative to the size of your bias tape maker rather. So this is a 12mm size. This is by a company called Clover, a really great Japanese company. The 12mm size is roughly equivalent to a 1/2 inch. This one is the 18mm size, which is roughly 3/4 of an inch. And then you've got your 25mm size, which is roughly 1 inch. You cut your bias strips double the size of your finished bias tape. So if I'm making 1/2 inch single fold bias tape, I'm going to cut a 1 inch strip and use my 12mm bias tape maker. In this case, I'm making 3/4 inch single fold bias tape. So I'm going to use my 18mm bias tape maker, and I'm tucking in a 1.5 inch strip. You're going to tuck it into the inside and shove it on through until, see a little tip come out the other side there? And through the magic of the bias tape maker, it's taking my flat strip here and it spits it out there. I'm going to take my handle, lift it up, and then using my iron here, I'll pull. I'm pressing down with my iron to hold it in place. And you might use a little steam, and I'm pressing all the way across. See that? And then iron and pull, iron, keeping my iron very, very, very close to the tip of the bias tape maker as I go. See that? All the way down the length of your strip. A little bit of elbow grease there until we get a beautiful, symmetrical, nicely pressed piece of bias tape. If you want to make this single fold bias tape into double fold, you'll fold in half again, but remember to cheat just slightly to one side and give yourself a little lip so that you'll catch that edge when you're sewing your double fold bias tape down. Bias tape makers come in a lot of different brands. These particular ones happen to be color-coded and they're very popular. You can get them online on Amazon, a couple different places. They do come in different sizes. If you're only going to get a few, I really recommend the yellow and the red, which is to say the 12mm and the 18mm. I use my blue occasionally. There's a tiny little green one that makes 1/4 inch bias tape that I hardly ever use, and then there's a massive 2-inch one that's black that I do use quite a bit for quilting. But if you're making garments, I would recommend the yellow and the red. If you're making quilts, I would recommend the black and maybe the blue.